You're listening to Reignite, a podcast about being emotionally gutted by a video game. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, aka Stormageddon.
Even though Voeld is a vast planet with many missions waiting for us, we decided to focus only on staging a rescue. Now that Ephra is starting to see the worth of an alliance with the Initiative, it's time to rescue the Moshai. Ryder and companions head to a Ket facility on Voeld with a team of Angara from the Resistance. Together they search the facility to find the Moshai and find some disturbing secrets along the way. Once the Moshai is rescued, Ryder must decide to destroy the facility that has caused so much anguish for the Angara, or stay their hand in order to rescue the Angara still in prison.
Yeah, this was a lot for just one mission. We haven't really had a mission like this yet that's like so weighted and so heavy to the plot. Like we've had smaller missions or like entire stuff like when we first landed on Aya, it was all narrative and no mission. But like this is the first mission that felt like a Mass Effect 2 or 3 mission. Like, you know, main story mission, like get in there, do the thing. There's multiple parts. Things go sideways. Like it felt very true to the origins of this franchise.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I feel like it is the first time we've encountered a meaningful choice to be made. Like there's been some choices until now, but this one feels very impactful.
Yeah, this feels like a very Shepard decision, whereas like choosing military or science earlier on Eos was also a big decision, but as y'all said on that episode, ultimately doesn't matter. Like it does, but it doesn't really. Whereas this one, when we get to it, feels more emotionally important for sure than that other choice.
Yeah, science versus military outpost really impacted things that people said to you, but nothing really emotional. Like, nobody was going to walk up to you and be like, this is why that was a terrible decision for you to make. Right. Whereas here, this is a decision where you're siding with either the Moshai or with Jal.
Yeah, which is a tough choice to make because while you've only just met Jal, by this point you've had many opportunities to bond with him, and he's a member of your squad. The Moshai is a respected leader amongst their people and an important pursuer of science. And so
also we need her.
And also we need her. And so like to go against her is also equally hard. So yeah, this is the first decision I felt that like had the kind of weight, though not as much weight as the Legion mission that we often talk about. Like it was more in that league as far as, oh, this is a big deal. What do I do? And you can bet your ass I sat there for a little while thinking about it. Like I didn't just do it lightly.
I feel like this is the moment when shit in Andromeda gets real.
Yeah, you get a sense of why everything is happening. Like we're dancing around the twist that's going to come shortly, but like that moment is the moment that made me go as a new player, oh, okay, now we're in the Mass Effect game. Like, it had all been Mass Effect, but I was like, it's not really a Mass Effect until we have some severe racially spread trauma. And there'd been some minor, but like, this is like, okay, now we're playing a Mass Effect game. People are suffering, which is sad to say out loud, but also the truth of the kind of narratives that this world builds.
Let's get into our check-ins so we can fully talk about this mission and our experience with it. The first thing that we should do, first thing I did, I don't know if it's the first thing you did, but I talked to Ephra so I can officially get the Moshai mission. How did you handle that conversation?
So, I mean, it was funny because it wasn't the first thing I did. I did a lot of running around the ship like a chicken without a head, just like, who can I talk to? Who can I bother? Who's around? You know, that kind of social butterfly that I am in these games. When Ephra was like, you know, confronting you about the stuff that happened on Havarl and discussing it and what the kind of person you are, you know, I made sure to say that I keep my word when I set out to do something. And then when he was still like, well, I don't know, and this nobody's ever broken into this facility before, Sam, of course, tells you, well, they don't have me. I'm an AI. I'm in your head. I can help. And I was honest with them. I told them about Sam. He respected it and then, you know, was like, but still, I'm not sure. I'm like, well, you don't have a choice and you need my AI. Like, I really pushed that. But I remembered my first conversation with him and how they are, as a people, rely on honesty and emotion. And I am an honest and emotional person to my detriment. You can ask anyone. You can even ask my co-host. And so in that moment, I was like, I am going to tell him the truth. I'm not going to keep this from him. And I'm also going to tell him why I think why I feel this is the right thing to do. And it seems to have worked positively. Is that the route you went as well?
I went similar. I was a little more arrogant. I went like, my personal motto is, I got this. And Ephra was like, arrogant, like me. I get it.
I love that no matter what choice you make, Ephra's like me, I like it. Because essentially both of those sides, like he would have done it either way. Because the honesty, he says the same thing. He's like, honest. I appreciate that. I too would be honest.
I was also honest about the AI, and he said like, it's risky to have been honest, but I appreciate that you were. Honesty makes you different from the cat, is what he says. Which, it's good to know. Like, we're starting to, like, see, we could be friends. Please don't shoot at us anymore.
I get why you would hate all humans. Trust me, I am one. But still, please trust me.
Yeah. So, from there, let's talk about extra mass.
Yeah, so this was the mission that I brought up in the last episode, but we didn't do yet. And I was like, this is creepy. There's some person or dead body hiding in my ship. What is happening?
You were half right.
And then I was like, all right, well, let's start to explore. And so how you solve this, like a lot of these kinds of missions in the game that we've done before, it's following pipes with your scanner. And you go into different rooms, you scan them, you try to find this extra mass, and you scour every inch of the ship if you're me, and it's obviously in the last place you look, because it's always in the last place you look.
Yeah, because you stop looking.
Because you stop looking. And so when you find it, it turns out you find what seems like a mangled mech fused to the ship's inner hull. And you're like, I don't understand what this is. We should blow it up. And Callow's like, maybe... come talk to me. I can explain it.
So, I don't know if Scott Ryder maybe takes a more aggressive tack, but Sarah says, hey, there's like a construction mech welded to the hull. And Callow says, I know what that is. Come see me. There is no talk of blowing it up.
I mean, I may be inferring just based on my own thought process, but the conversation...
You would like to blow it up?
There's a foreign thing in my ship. Get rid of it. But yeah, I mean, I think Scott's along the same lines as like he starts to pontificate about it, and then Callow's like, "Oh, I can explain that. Come see me."
So we do go see Callow, and we find out that the head designer of the Tempest had broken her back during construction, but she refused to quit. So she modified a construction mech into kind of a mobility aid to help her continue working on the ship, which is crazy dedication. Like, oh, sweetie. And it gives Callow this moment to kind of reminisce and be nostalgic, because we get to hear an audio log that she installed with the mech for the moment that a Pathfinder finds it.
Yeah.
She says about the Pathfinders, you were the best of us. And Callow was so deeply affected by hearing her voice.
And like lists the names of the Pathfinders that are expected to be there. And I think Alec has this, or rather not Alec is mentioned. Scott, or in my case, Matt, has this opportunity to go, well, she didn't mention me because she didn't know me yet. But
I said that too.
Yeah, it's like, I'm pretty great too, but she just didn't know me.
She's only saying that because she's never met me.
Yeah. And then I believe you're asked if you want to leave it or remove it. And of course, I want to leave it. Like, Callow says something along the lines of, it's her signature on a piece of art. And I think that's actually really beautiful. Like this thing you welded to the ship so you could do your work. You left then as like a watermark almost on this project that was your heart and soul, which I think is really beautiful.
Yeah, I also chose to keep it where it is. The alternate decision was to preserve it somewhere else.
Right.
And
to remove it and
put it on the Nexus or something as kind of a tribute to her. But I also chose to keep it where it is because it is her signature and it was important to her.
Ultimately a lot less scary than I thought this mission was going to be.
See, it worked out. It was fine. I told you.
Just like everything else.
Everything else was gonna be fine.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to talk about is the special mission brought up by Liam.
Yeah, so Liam asks you to put the rubber stamp on a project that he's working on. And he said, and if you need to find a place in the budget, and I can't remember the exact area of the budget, but he's like, just put it in this bucket. It'll be fine. Like, I know that we have extra funds there. I'm like, oh, okay. And so I look it up, and it's an armor requisition. It's something to do with certain kinds of armor, and seemed banal enough, so I approved it, of course. And then Liam chimes in on my comms. He's like, oh, thanks. I got the approval. Why don't you stop by my room when you get a chance, and we'll talk about what this is all about. When you arrive, Liam is shirtless, just wearing pants, and fiddling with some armor. And I'm like, what is happening? And before I can even really say anything, in walks Jal in his birthday suit, completely buck-ass naked. And Ryder has this opportunity, and of course I took it to go, well, it looks like I'm overdressed.
See, Sarah's response was, is this show for me? Because I'm definitely benefiting.
Well, right. I think, I don't know why Scott doesn't have that option, because I think both of them can be romantic interests, but...
Liam is not a romantic interest for Scott.
Oh, okay. He's straight. Okay, then that explains it, yeah. So I looked at, I was just like, wow, I'm definitely overdressed. And then they start to go at it, like really harshly making fun of each other's races, like crossing line after line, to the point where Scott, and I assume Sarah also, are like, hey, stop, what is happening? And Liam explains that the reason he created this project is because he might have already had said something by accident that might have offended Jal, and he didn't want to do that. And he wanted to give him and Jal an opportunity to get that kind of very narrow-minded, bigoted thinking or phrases or pathways out against each other, so they know what offends the other person, and in an attempt to better understand each other and not offend each other in the future, which is interesting.
It is. It reminds me of that bit that we always refer to. The best friends are the ones that you can talk shit with.
Yes.
Like, I'll keep wearing this shirt as long as you're wearing those shoes.
Yeah.
They want to be able to, like, talk shit with each other, but they don't want to, like, actually hurt each other's feelings. That's not the point. The point is, like, gentle ribbing and just like, haha! Like, it's just meant to blow off some steam without actively being offensive or cruel or hurtful. Especially Jal wouldn't want to be hurtful.
Right.
And Liam is just trying to understand better. That's Liam's whole thing. We're here to build a home. We should understand our neighbors. He went about it in a very confusing way. I do not understand why they had to be naked. Or at least why Jal had to be naked.
Yeah.
Though props that they actually designed what the Angara look like without clothes, because they could not do the same courtesy for Turians.
Nope.
Oh my god, at least they did it for one alien species.
It's one of those things where it's like, I understand it. I'm actually grateful for it, because you think about in the third game when James and Garrus are going at it, right? Like, humans and Turians at that point have been working together for years and years and years and years. They've served together. They've worked together. And so, like, their ribbing, or even Garrus and Joker's ribbing more specifically, they've worked for a long time personally together beyond just their races working together. And so there is no need for a session like this. They just go at it. They know the kinds of people each one is, and so they just go at it. Here, they wanted to test the waters. And it is really interesting. Although my Ryder at the end of it is like, yeah, okay, I understand. To better understand each other, but maybe let's not do this again. Like, was like understanding, but also not eager to repeat the performance.
Yes.
And then Jal, like, they both agree, and then Jal on the way out, like, says something else and walks past Ryder as you get a full back view of Jal. And I was just not prepared to see Jal's ass in that moment. I'm not complaining, but definitely not something I was prepared for.
10 out of 10. I do love Jal being like, I'm sorry, was this not sanctioned? Let me leave.
Yeah.
Let me leave so you can deal with it by yourself. I'm not stupid. I don't really like flirting with Liam, because he kind of puts everything about the initiative on a pedestal, and I'm not about that life. But I did take one flirty line with Liam where he goes to put on his shirt. I was like, I'm sorry, did I say put on the shirt? No. You put me through this. So.
Funny side story is that I was doing that mission Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon, and I just finished it. And when you finish it, he stays shirtless. In the conversation with Scott, he stays shirtless regardless. So he's just sitting on the couch shirtless. My spouse, Sarah, came downstairs to ask me something. And then after we chatted, she looked at the TV and then she went, who's the hot guy in the game on the TV? Like, who is that? And I was like, he's Liam. Don't worry about it.
I'm not romancing him. It's fine.
It's not important. So it's apparently 10 out of 10 for all Sarahs, not just the Sarah that's our future guest.
Excellent. Okay. So fun times. Let's do the rest of our check-ins. With Gil, we finally get to find out what the deal is with Callow.
Yeah, every time we talk to Callow on the bridge, he's bickering with Gil about something. It's always something else.
It's always something. And
you never, and Callow, you try and ask Callow and he won't tell you why.
Right. So Gil comes at it from this perspective. Gil is a gears and guts guy. Callow is a blueprints guy. And the reason why Gil gives Callow so much shit is because Callow wants to stick to the blueprints, whereas Gil is more interested in practical application. Things on the blueprints might not necessarily work. And Gil even admits that you need the two of them to balance each other out. I just wish they would stop fighting.
Yeah, Gil admits that even though part of him would rather have it his way. He understands the reality that without Callow, it would be lopsided in the other direction. The balance between the two of them looking at the ship together is what keeps it in peak performance.
Yes, and I wish that they would have, like, a coffee meeting and Gil be like, look, I changed this, this, and this because X, Y, and Z. I know that's not what it is in the blueprints, but I need you to understand why I made that change. And Callow can then be like, okay, what if we did blah, 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 blah. Like, I feel like they would benefit greatly from a Monday morning Zoom call to go over their week.
Yeah, I mean, also, though, I understand it because they are emulating either best friends or romantic partners, which sometimes is the same thing. But, like, I think about one of my best friends, Matt. Even when we're getting along, we're often arguing about something. It doesn't matter what it is. We're arguing about something, even when it's something we both like. My constant conversations with him about Mass Effect, more recently the Legendary Edition, come to mind. Like, he loves those games, but he's never going to take an opportunity to not bicker about how you get less and less exploration throughout the games, which is true. So, like, I get that, and I think they show that dynamic really well between these two characters. Though still part of me is like, just shut up and kiss already.
Please, just get together for coffee, see how things go, take it slow. That's where I'm at. Jal. I have like a whole page of notes about Jal. We have a big conversation with him.
Yeah, so when we talk to Jal, we get to find out a little bit more about the Angaran offshoot, the
Rokar.
The Rokar.
Led by Axel.
Yes, and we get to find out that Jal actually personally knows the leader. They were in school together. They worked together quite a bit before that branch of the Angarans defected.
Yeah, Axel was Moshai's best student until he was captured by the Ket.
Yep. And after he came back from that horrid experience, he was completely changed and devoted his life to destroying the Ket at all costs and never trusting another alien again. Which
is completely understandable.
Yeah, like, I mean, neither you or I, or a lot of people we know, have been in that kind of an extreme prisoner of war situation. And I have to imagine something that horrendous would change you. Maybe someone wouldn't, but it just seems unlikely to me. And so to flip so hard and want the cat dead makes sense because of what they put you through. You know, revenge missions and revenge narratives aren't in stuff because they're total fantasy. They are based on reality. They are pulled from real emotions and real feelings. And so it is unsurprising that he went in this direction, especially being the smartest of them in that situation. His intelligence meant nothing. It did nothing for him. He could do nothing to change it.
There was a lot going on for Axel. It took a year for him to escape, so he had to endure whatever the Ket were doing to him and his fellow Ungarans for a year. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he was captured for a week and he was able to escape. It's a whole year. And he was then bitter because he couldn't be rescued. No one came to rescue him. And when you have so much faith in your people and they don't meet that faith, then that faith is shaken. Like, of course he doesn't believe in the resistance anymore because they couldn't rescue him. What the fuck are they doing? Yeah.
When you're talking to Jal about it too, you're given an option of how you will handle the situation when you meet him, because Jal has information on how to find him. And I want to try and reason with him because that's what we're here to do. I will continue to endlessly through this season go back to the Star Trek narrative. I am treating it as such because we were never really given that option in the other Mass Effect trilogy. You can reason with some people, but for the most part, it was shoot first, ask questions to the dead bodies. Here, you can act like reasoning does seem to be put forward, and I want to reason with this person. He is not out of line for how he feels, but his actions and his extremism is over the line, and there's got to be a middle ground, and I want to at least have that conversation before I put a gun to anyone's head.
Yeah, I agree. And Jal is down to help you.
Yep, and this is when we're given the mission friend or foe, which we didn't do today, but we will do in the nearest future. Also, I have the hindsight of 2020 and having played the full mission now, but like I can now understand even more why he's so angry.
Yeah.
Because he witnessed something that we're about to. I'm sure.
I don't know if he did, actually.
I mean, I guess that's it, right? We don't know. But like, if he did, for him to lose faith in the regular Angarans, that kind of thing could fuel it. But we'll come back to that.
We do get to talk to Jal more about Angarans in general. I find it very funny, but realistic, that Jal doesn't know anything about biology. Because when you ask him, like, how does your like bioelectrics work, Jal's like, I don't know. I'm sure there are books about it.
Yeah.
For me, Sarah says no biology at all. That's disappointing. And Jal comes back with, how do your eyeballs work? And Sarah tells him exactly how they work. Right. And he's just like, you took my sarcasm as an opportunity to show off. That says so much about you. And I feel like Scott doesn't say the same thing.
No, he doesn't. Scott also, while still a nerd, is not the level of nerd that Sarah is implied to be. Right, Sarah is
so much more of a nerd than Scott is. Scott is more like, I was put here to guard this Mass Effect relay.
I'm kind of here. Let's see how it goes.
I'm just a dude being a guy.
But, like, what I appreciate, though, about this conversation is, like, yeah, I mean, if someone asked me how my brain worked, I could tell you the basics. But, like, the lobes and what each lobe does, I don't frickin' know. Like, I have no idea because I didn't study biology. Like, I can live and breathe and eat and poop without knowing how any of it works. Sometimes I wish I understood it better, but that's neither here nor there. But like, yeah, so I think it's very funny.
Sometimes I wish I understood it less.
Right. But in sci-fi, it is very often in the Star Wars of the world and the Star Trek of the world that everyone just knows everything about, because especially when you're on science vessels, it's like everyone's expected to know everything. And so it's nice that when you pick up this run-of-the-mill party member, this average guy, above average guy, we'll say, because he is pretty popular amongst his people. When you ask him something integral to his existence and race, he just goes, I don't know. Like, that's a real human experience for me as a person who knows very little about being a human.
Read a book, my guy.
Yeah. It's a very realistic response.
I love him. Let's see, some things that we learn. We learned that the Moshai is a teacher, she's a leader, she's widely adored because she's been around since the Ket have invaded.
Yep.
So she's one of the few people who knows what their lives were like before the Ket were around.
Right.
We also learn a little bit more about their religion, their variations, the essential tenet, which we know is reincarnation, which is that we evolve to make our family strong. When you ask Jal if he believes, I also love this. The answer was basically, if you ask my mother, I do.
That is such a mood. Like, it's like me growing up Jewish. Like, are you religious? If you ask my mother, the answer is yes.
Yes. If you ask my mother, I'm Catholic.
Yeah.
I am not. Yeah. Which I really appreciate. Something that Jal says about the Ket really resonated with me in this age of COVID, which is, it's like living on unstable ground.
Yeah.
Because people are taken daily. Normal people, not people who are part of the resistance. Like, Jal's father was not a soldier. He was just a guy, a miner. He was on his way to work and he got snatched and he never came home.
Yeah.
And that happens for an Angaran child daily.
Yeah, I mean, like, I believe it's my right and my duty almost, but like, this has a lot to do with Judaism, and I wouldn't be shocked if there was a Jewish writer in the room, because this is not unlike living in Germany during Hitler's reign, right? Like waking up one day and a family that you knew next door is just gone. And like, nothing has to be compared to something else. But as a Jewish person, as someone who has that heritage and knows people who have family members who were abducted back then, like, the similarities, you can't ignore them. I'm sure people of color also have a ton of comparative points. Like, there is a level of oppression on the Angaran people that feels uncomfortably real, which is, I think, very important here, and can also understand why a different individual might interact differently to finding out about it and dealing with this kind of trauma within a game. We
have definitely talked about genocide with the original trilogy and how genocide is bad, as we all know. Yes. But later this season, we're going to have my spouse again to talk about a mission down the line, and genocide is definitely going to come up because this experience that the Angara are going through is not unique.
No.
This is what genocides are like. One day, everything is fine, and it's like a slow creep until nothing is fine and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yep. And like, this is not unfamiliar to the Mass Effect world either. You know, we talk about the Krogan at length, the Geth at length, going through the same kind of thing for different reasons in different ways. So like, these are conversations we have had and will continue to have while covering these games. And I can promise, if we go to the next series that we keep teasing, there will be even more of it. So there's that.
I would like to one day play a game that doesn't have anything to do with genocide.
Yeah, it's called Animal Crossing. Other than that, you're SOL.
Not even Stardew?
I mean, I guess Stardew doesn't have genocide, but you are killing
monsters. No, that's
monsters.
not true. There's a little genocide in Stardew.
You're killing all of the blobs and slimes and bats that live there.
That's self-defense, first of all. The genocide I'm talking about is what happened to the dwarves and the shadow people.
That's true. Yeah.
Join me later on my TED Talk about genocide in Stardew Valley. Anyway, let's continue.
Look, John's going to have to write another book eventually. You're just adding fuel to the fire.
Anyway, we talked to Cora a little bit.
Yeah, we do.
Nothing huge, but we do find out that Asari refugees showed up on Eos.
Yep.
And Cora is so hype about it.
Yep. Did you take this opportunity to call her a fangirl?
I did.
And she gets so flustered.
So flustered.
In the way that makes me fall in love with a character. Like, the reason I have often adored Garrus and adored Thane and adored even Caden now is because they do not like it when you call them on their shit, and then they immediately get flustered as hell, and it was adorable. And, like, for those keeping track at home and have already entered their parts of the betting pool, as it were, Cora, that moment put Cora in the lead. Only slightly, but it put Cora in the lead because I went, aww.
And she's so cute.
Yeah.
Her hero was on the arc, who is an Asari war strategist, and Cora is like, we need someone like her. She's the only one who can make sense out of this mess. And I'm just like, yeah? Tell me more about it.
Yeah. Is she your favorite? So do you have an action figure?
She's so cute.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that. So that's something to look forward to.
Yes.
Let's get into the facility.
So what I love about the start of this mission is, again, first of all, the landing. Poor Callow.
Oh my God, that was so good.
Just can't catch a break.
Do you want us to get out and push?
Yeah, so you're landing on a winter planet. It's covered in ice and snow. And you land. It's rough for Callow. There's a lot of shaking. And then you finally land and settle. And everyone kind of takes a breath. And then half the ship sinks into the ice a little. It doesn't fall over or anything. Like, it could probably still lift off. But it sinks. And then I assume Sarah and Scott both turn around and go, do you want us to get out and push? And he's like, not funny, Ryder. It's very funny.
I really like this scene because we have gotten used to things just going perfectly with our ship all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And I like that there are these moments where you don't make a perfect landing every time. Callow is not Joker.
Nope.
And, like, Callow's great.
Yeah.
But he's not Joker. And Joker has this reputation of being perfect every time because he has to be. Callow doesn't have to be perfect every time. He is very good at what he does, but he is allowed to have faults, which I appreciate.
I will also say I'm realizing that Frankie and I are saying Scott and Sarah a lot, where typically in the past with Shepard we just said Shepard. We didn't really say the first names of our Shepards because I think there's more emphasis on the first names of the characters because you have a sibling in Cryo, and so we're always referring to the other sibling. And I think so for consistency of understanding, we'll probably be doing that throughout the series. Obviously, they are not named Sarah and Scott for us,
right.
the ones that we can control. But it's just, I think, canonically easier to say. Also, when we say Ryder too much, it's just like, which Ryder? Who's Ryder? It's just, Ryder doesn't roll off the tongue in the same way Shepard did after 3 games because there was only 1 game.
So, also, I feel like sometimes there's a difference between what Sarah says and what Scott says.
Correct. Whereas, like, I feel like Fem Shep and Male Shep, for the most part, say similar things, if not the same. There are moments when they're different, but for the most part, it was 2 different actors reading the same lines in their way, which is not a bad thing, especially with how much writing was in all 3 games. But there's definitely a difference in personality between these 2 characters because they both exist in this world in a way that both Shepards did not exist.
Let's get to this facility. We find out that Angara go in, never come out again.
Yep.
And it has never been infiltrated before.
I love that when we meet the Angaran pilot, who doesn't get a name, even though everyone else does, he's just Angaran pilot, we are already in the middle of a ragtag action movie squad. Like, we're meeting the crew. When we're on the ship, we get to talk to the crew and get the breakdown, and everyone's got an attitude. And, like, it just feels very 90s action movie, and I kind of really dig it. Like,
I dig it, too.
Who did you bring? Because who I brought, I think, also defined the vibe. I brought Jal, of course, because I was going to. And I brought Drac. And, like, Drac is just in 100%. Let's bash some skulls. Like, he's here for it. Part of the action group. Who did you bring?
I brought Jal and Vetra just because I really like how they interact with each other. Mm-hmm. I think that Jal does a really good job of breaking down Vetra's walls and, like, kind of poking her. And just being like, why do you say things like that? And Vetra's like what? And he's like, well, you talk shit about your sister a lot, but you love her. You obviously love her. It's like free therapy that I get to listen to. I love it.
Yeah, Drac and Jal, because Jal is two-sided, right? He's very emotional, but he's also very action-oriented. And, like, with Jal and Drac, Jal just feeds into it. Like, when they're in the heat of battle, like, they're calling out shots to each other. They're, like, coordinating attacks. It's really actually quite awesome to see.
Yeah, they are a good team. I do like that, too. Some quotes that I liked was one Angara resistance fighter says, no one joins the resistance to stay safe.
Yeah, which is a good answer.
I also really liked Sarah saying to Sam, please don't embarrass me in front of our new friends.
Yeah, I wrote that quote down too. Because when you land and you start making your way towards the facility, as we said earlier, this facility has such impenetrable force fields that the tech that the Angarans had couldn't hack it. But we offered the use of Sam to get through it. And when you get to the force field, you're like, all right, just give me a minute. This is going to be no problem. And then as Sam starts to hack, he's like, I need more time. And Ryder's just like, please don't embarrass me in front of my new friends. Just get the job done.
And then it opens like this perfect circle. I'm just like, chef's kiss. Yeah. Love it.
Breaking into the facility. So we're led by following the waypoint to like this air vent. And like, it took me a solid 10 minutes to get inside because nothing ever said break the air vent. So I looked at it and went, there's got to be a button. I turned on my scanner. There are pipes. I tried to follow them, but they loop. Walked to the other side, and there's another air vent, but I couldn't shoot that. I tried shooting that one, and it didn't work. And I went, I wonder. And so I went back to the other one, and I shot it and used my biotics and got through. And I was like, son of a bitch.
I stabbed it with my sword.
Yeah. It's just, they never tell you break the thing. And like, that should be obvious, but I'm still in Star Trek mode. So I'm always like, there's got to be a logical way to get in. It's not just brute force. I was wrong. But every air vent after that was like my arch nemesis. I just like threw everything I had at it.
Yeah, sometimes when you go to hit it, like if you do a melee attack on it, it doesn't always work. And while I really like the Asari sword, sometimes using it to hit a stationary object is not good because you'll like warp through it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, I did not want that.
I do not want.
I just wanted to stab it.
I do want to say here that as an adept now, really specced out, having weapons that I like, I really am enjoying the combat. I'm not remembering to get behind cover as much as I should, but between having Lance, Push, and Singularity, I am able to control the battlefield in a way that I just couldn't as the more Vanguard-esque character. And I'm really enjoying that. I'm using 2 pistols because the SMG is considered a pistol in this game. So I'm just using 2 pistols. And I picked up like an aiming sight, like almost a sniper laser sight for my pistol. So like the one shot at a time pistol, I'm just like, I throw a Singularity and I just pick people off. And it works a lot better now. And I know I can change and make more profiles, but I won't. I'll probably just do this because I'm having fun doing it.
My favorite thing is that I can just, like, load up on pistols. I could have 6 pistols if I want. It makes me so happy.
There's no restriction for the guns, and you can just have whatever you want.
I can just have all pistols. Oops, all pistols. That's me.
Pistols. That's the Frankie Ryder story. Oops, all pistols.
It makes me very happy. The decontamination room always freaks me out because I'm like, this is where I die.
Yeah, and Drac started freaking out when we got in it. And Jal is impatient, as you know, because he did it with you too. I'm sure he wants to get to the next room. Drac is like, what's happening? Are we going to die? What's going on? Battle station. Like, just freaking out. He's an old
man.
he's just ready for an attack. And Sam's like, this is a decontamination room. Can you fix it? Can you make it faster? I cannot. We just have to go through it. Like, it's just... I want to take Drac on all of my missions now because I just want Grandpa with me at all times.
He's a very good Grandpa.
He is. But after the decontamination room, we enter the main chamber where we get our first waves of Ket that we have to fight along with the team that we're here with. And the combat here is pretty standard. There's a lot of good cover. I have fun fighting here. Though my favorite thing about having Drac is every time one of the... I don't know what the name of the dog enemies are, but they're like these dog creatures.
Oh, I know. The Wraiths.
The Wraiths. Every time a Wraith comes for me, next thing I know, Drac is near me and literally like forearms one across the room, like just chucks the thing and yells. Like my back is always covered because he just throws those things around like rag dolls, which is my favorite.
He has to protect his lizard son.
He does. But after this combat, we find the like main entrance, and the team decides that it's better that they provide a distraction while a smaller force, us, infiltrates through the side. They'll hold their attention, and then we can kind of sneak around and try and save the Angarans, find the Moshai, and get out.
Yeah, I kind of skipped this whole thing. I went straight to the decontamination. They say that they're going to kick in the front door, so that way we can skulk around.
And it's not until after we start to skulk around that we come to a room where we fight a few more Ket, and then we see like this observation platform. I'm
gonna interrupt you for a second because there are some things that we find before that happens. Mm-hmm. We find like classrooms everywhere.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And we find, like, data pads with lessons and questions and homework assignments and, like, dormitories. Like, this facility is a Ket school.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a prison. It feels like a college campus, almost.
When we find one of the classrooms, Ryder asks Jal, should we toss the place? And Jal says, whatever that means, it doesn't sound violent enough. Which I really appreciate. And Jal is just increasingly disturbed the further we get into the facility. Before we get to that observation platform, one of the data pads we pick up has the line, "Pain is proof of harmony," which is disturbing.
Yeah, that's some 8th grade emo shit. Like, it's bad. Red, all of the reddest of flags.
Yeah. When we do get to that observation platform, though, we can watch as Angara are willingly stepping up to be chosen for exaltation, but we don't quite know what that means yet.
Yeah, we don't know what exaltation is, but we see all of these pods, these chambers, and that they seem to be in a trance and volunteering. And let me tell you, did my Mass Effect Reaper alarm go off? Like, I just went, this is bad. Y'all don't know. None of you, not even Scott, knows because you didn't live that life. But me as the player, Matt, knows this is all bad.
That's some crazy cult shit down there.
Yeah, there's no good to come of this. And in that moment, I wrote in my notes, are the Angarans being turned into Ket? I didn't know at that point, but I wrote it down. And like, because we see them going to these chambers, we hear them talking about exaltation. I'm just like, this is bad juju all over it. I'm not about it.
Well, look at you with your instincts. So on point. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, after this, we continue on through the facility and we get to another decontamination room that Sam cannot also speed up in any way. And we see a chamber open with a suspended Angaran. And then the head priest of this church, the church leader, floating up to meet them. And it's very ominous. And we see the church leader inject this Angaran with something. And then immediately this Angaran collapses and is in pain. And what we discover is that Angaran slowly transforms before our eyes into a Ket. Pretty horrifically.
This is the most heartbreaking scene to me. The conversion of Angara to Ket. They're injected with Ket genetic material, and, like, I just can't imagine how terrible this feels for Jal to witness someone that he could have saved be turned into the enemy, and to know now that the Ket that he's killed in the past could have been someone that he knows. Could have been his father.
Yeah.
And, it's what the Reapers did to all of the Milky Way species by taking our people and turning them into monsters to fight. But the Reapers were not shy about it. The Reapers did not hide that this is what they did.
Yeah.
The Ket were very secretive about it.
Yep. And it doesn't seem like it has to be the Angarans. It just currently is the Angarans, which is also kind of scary and is similar to the Reapers. Like, this is the race that they found that works, and so they're using them. And during this scene, like, Jal loses it. He starts smashing on the window. In my case, Drac starts to help. Like, Drac also tries to smash the window. Jal is yelling, "Can they do anything? Can you get us in there?" And Sam is like, "Unfortunately, I can't. I can't until the protocol is over." And then once the door opens, you're under attack. The head preacher, the head of the church, runs.
The cardinal
runs.
I don't think that was the cardinal, but that's the person who runs the whole thing is the cardinal.
And then you fight. You have to fight more Ket, and, like, Jal is at a loss. He's kind of quiet during this combat as you clear the room.
Well, he doesn't want you to hurt the Angara that was just turned into Ket, but you can't avoid it.
Right. And then after you clear the room, he's just collapsed, and you can take a moment to put your hand on his shoulder and kind of try and console him. And he is distraught in this moment.
Yeah, this is always a hard moment, because when someone that you're coming to care for, someone that you're friends with, is going through grief, what can you say?
Yeah.
And there's not a lot that you can say. There's not a lot you can do except ask them, like, how can I help you in this moment? Like, what do you need from me? And I appreciate that we do get the moment to ask that of someone who is becoming our friend.
Yeah, we get to ask how we can help, and then we also get to apologize. We get to say, "I'm so sorry that you're going through this." It's just a very tender moment within a very hectic moment, and I appreciate the writing of it. But then Drac is quick to remind us that we can't lollygag, and now Jal is in a rage. Like, he just wants to get the leader and destroy him and save the Moshae.
Yeah, and then that brings us to the Cardinal fight.
Yeah, one of the first true boss battles of this game.
Yeah. The Cardinal, like, zips around the battlefield with a shield, and they also have, like, a little, like, battery floating around them that powers the shield. It was vaguely annoying.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, biotics can't lock onto the little thing, so I had to use my pistol to be precise to destroy the shield. And then once the shield was gone, I threw every biotic I had at him. All the while this is happening. So what happens is you get to this room, and right before this fight, you see that the Archon has called for them to move the Moshae, and the Cardinal is trying to move her, but then you interrupt. And so she's kind of off to the side. She kind of hunkers down, and then everyone turns to attack you, and you do this fight. It was obnoxious, but not in the way that made me angry, right? Like, it was a reasonable first boss fight. I was more annoyed because I have terrible aim even when the game is helping me, and so blowing up the stupid shield was a pain in the ass. But once we stop him and defeat everything, we can then rush to the aid of the Moshae, help her to her feet, tell her why we're there. But then we also find out that we did not kill the Cardinal. He's still alive as well and confronts us.
Yeah, I just wanted to get through the fight because I wanted to continue with the narrative, because the narrative was so compelling. I was like, yeah, I don't care. Story me.
Right.
Give me the story. I do love when the Moshae says, nobody has ever infiltrated this place. And I can say, I don't know the rules yet. I'm new.
That's what I said too. I have in big letters "snark" above this section of my notes. It's because I snarked there, and then even with the Cardinal, I'm snarky as well.
Did you tell the Cardinal that you're gonna fuck their shit up?
Yeah, and he calls you an arrogant fuck or something like that. Like he calls you arrogant.
Yeah, he does call you arrogant. The question comes up, is there an off switch to this horror palace? Which, the dialogue is just so good.
So good.
And that's when we get our choice. The cardinal offers to release the Angara if we leave this holy place intact.
Ugh.
Gross, right?
Yeah.
And Jal is in favor because it means that you can free the Angara, but the Moshai wants the place destroyed and thinks that this is your only chance to do so.
Yeah, the Moshai says that it doesn't matter whether it's 1 or 1,000. If a place like this still exists, this will never stop. And you'll be saving these Angarans, but our people as a whole will still suffer. And it's a tough choice because she's not wrong. There's no way that after we leave them behind, they're going to be like, all right, guys, pack it in. We can't use this place anymore. Like, they're going to just start doing it again. And so it is a really tough decision that I sat with for a little while. But ultimately, in these moments, I lean into myself and I go, okay, if I was in the decision where I could save more people or blow up a terrible place, I would save more people. I couldn't bring myself to just kill these innocents, because even the people who are hypnotized or in cult mode, they don't necessarily want to be there. And so I chose to save them because that's what I would do. I would want to save as many people as possible. You can attribute that to my real life superhero complex if you want, but like that to me was the only choice. What about you?
I agree with you, with the additional reason that I already promised Jal that we would try and save as many people as we possibly could. That's also, you know what? We can come back tomorrow and destroy this place. We don't have to leave it standing. We just don't have to destroy it right this second. And you know what? I also decided to not let the Cardinal walk away.
Oh, same. I took the first time ever that we've gotten a reaction trigger in the game, and it's you can either let him live or kill him, and I shot him dead.
I did too, because you know what? Just because I made this deal with you doesn't mean that you get to walk away. No. You're a war criminal. No.
Yeah, after everything you put these people through, there was no way in hell I was letting you survive.
Like, no. Like, is it maybe not super sporting to shoot someone in the back? Perhaps.
Probably.
Is this person a war criminal? Yes.
Yes. But
are they probably going to, like, kidnap, abuse, and torture and completely strip away the essence of another Angara? Yes. Yes, they will.
Yes, they will.
And I'm not going to let that happen.
And we now officially find out what exaltation is. Exaltation is turning the Angaran into Ket. Turning anyone into Ket if they can do other people too. It's unclear at this point.
Yeah. So... And then we have to fight our way off. The Moshai helps us by making a barrier.
Even though we have to fight these giant fucking things. Yetis, fiends. Whatever they are. Fiends. They were horrifying, especially as a biotic who's used to throwing things around the map. They were a bit of a thing to deal with.
I was trying to stay on top of them, and then all of a sudden, one was just, like, right on top of me. I was like, how did you get there?
Yeah.
Where did you come from?
They remind me of the brutes, but way worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, and then we can escape and return to the Tempest.
Yep. When we return to the Tempest, we are able to talk with the Moshai and Jal. Lexi is there too, but once we've confirmed that she's stable-ish, we ask if we can chat with her, and Lexi warns us, you can, but she's still healing and in critical condition, so please take it easy. And then we get to talk to the Moshai about everything, including apparently our lack of respect for her because we didn't listen to her.
She makes me so angry. She makes me so mad. She says things like, so now you value what I have to say. You know what? I just saved a whole bunch of your people. Can you maybe get off my dick? Maybe get off my dick. She makes me so angry. And she talks about how the Ket believe exaltation is a gift. And Jal disagrees.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly. And she also tells us that apparently she wasn't being pulled away for exaltation. She was being pulled away because the Archon wanted her to join him because of her expertise with the Remnant. And like, Scott at least has this moment, God damn it, the Remnant. Of course, it's always the Remnant.
Yeah, Sarah says something similar. She's like, it always comes back to the Remnant. And the Moshai does agree to show us the vault on Aya. But she does it by saying, I feel for your people in a way you do not for mine. Bite me!
Yeah, it's just like, didn't I just save a whole temple full of your people? What do you mean I don't care for them? I came for you. Yeah, that part made me mad too.
She makes me so mad. Increasingly angry the longer I talk to her. I'm just like, okay. Show me the vault and get off my ship. I am done with you.
Yeah, pretty much.
I do not care about you anymore. You make me so angry. But yeah, at least now we get to see what's in the vault.
Yep. It's interesting. Every time I meet a new Angaran, they seem different than the last, and that's really fascinating to me. Especially because in other Mass Effect games, the characters can start to feel very samey. And some of that is lifestyle, right? The reason a lot of the Turians seem samey is because they are raised in the military. Their military is part of their life, and so a lot of them are uptight or kind of buttoned up because of that. But like, the Angaran just feel like the most diverse feeling race that we've encountered in any of these games.
They're volatile in a way.
Yeah.
If that is fair to say.
It
That
is
is what I think. Yeah, and we will talk more about what's in Aya's vault in our next episode.
We will.
Matt, I have some advice for you.
Thank you. I like advice. It's been very helpful as I go through this game almost completely without experience.
My advice for you is that not all impulse triggers are created equal.
Oh, is that so?
Sometimes there are negative consequences for your reactions.
Okay.
It's not like in the original trilogy where if you take the Renegade or Paragon triggers, it ultimately makes things better for you.
Right.
It might not make something better for you.
I mean, I can't imagine killing this head cardinal who the Archon is of import to is going to make my life with the Archon much easier. But in that moment, I didn't care.
Right. No, I agree. And I don't think that this is one of those.
Right.
I think that having done this is probably the better outcome.
Okay.
Because if you didn't do it, then she would be free to refill the temple, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So I think that this is one that was a good one. But in the future, I'm just letting you know, there might be
Don't take
an
all
impulse. You might not want to. You might want to try and give yourself a beat if possible. Maybe read what it's telling you that the impulse is.
Yeah.
So, I just don't want you to do something and then message me and be like, I'm very upset.
I mean, knowing me, it's bound to happen anyway, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to let you know, be mindful of your impulse triggers, which is counterintuitive, I know.
I shall, thank you.
So, for a bit of fun, let's do the Andromeda Ask Meme. Matt, of the characters that you've met so far, would you like to pick one?
Sure, why not? I will pick Drac.
What is something that cheers you up whenever you see it?
I mean, there are a few. I mean, I will go with a very recent one. Whenever I look at a photo of the dog that I dog sat, Ziggy, who is a Labradoodle, I always smile. It always cheers me up. It always makes me feel good.
That's sweet. Dogs are good.
Dogs are good.
Dogs are very good. For me, it is hedgehogs.
Hedgehogs, oh, that's a good answer too. Yeah.
I love hedgehogs. There's this one GIF that I always look at when I really need to smile, and it is a hedgehog being weighed. And the way that you weigh hedgehogs is you put them kind of like in a beaker, like in a wide beaker, and someone put the hedgehog on the beaker, and the hedgehog just slowly sinks in with a thwomp. And it just makes me laugh every time.
Nice. Because
the hedgehog's not hurt. Nothing bad is happening. It just slowly sinks into the glass and then all of a sudden, thwomp.
Amazing.
It's cute. It makes me happy. Oh, that's good. This was a nice moment that we shared as friends.
It was. It happens rarely on this show, but I'm glad that we had it.
In our next episode, we'll be heading back to Aya to finally see what's in the vault and to explore more carefully. If you like what you heard here, follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook.com/ReignitePod, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at iHoardLibraries and Matt at DJ_Stormageddon. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher. It helps us get seen so other people can find us.
You can now also rate podcasts on Spotify, and they don't ask
that
you.
Is true.
They don't even ask you to write a pesky review. You just get to rate it. So if you are listening on Spotify, or if you happen to have Spotify but you haven't been listening, go rate us there anyway. We appreciate it. We are also members of the Certain Point of View Podcast Network. You can visit certainpov.com to find more nerdy podcasts, each with a unique point of view. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server on the website and join in the conversation, like the conversation that's been ongoing for a very long time now about all the things that I can't know yet in Andromeda.
It's true. We have been talking about things that Matt cannot know and the things that we're excited for him to discover. Also, if you would like to predict Matt's outcome, today is actually the last day to submit your predictions. Whoever gets the most points for the most accurate predictions will win a prize pack. I don't know what's going to be in the prize pack. Maybe I'll make you something. Maybe I'll buy you some things that were featured on Fandom Corner. It'll be a thing. Don't worry. It's going to be fun and cool and wonderful, and you don't have to pay for anything. To weigh in on that survey, you go to bit.ly/storm-in-Andromeda. Go ahead and enter your guesses. There's a section for oddly specific predictions. Whoever makes the most wild out there, oddly specific prediction will get a huge chunk of points.
Yep.
And this is not like a one-line prediction about something that I didn't include on the questionnaire. No, that's not a wild out there prediction. I will give you a point for that. I mean, like, you get really in the nitty-gritty and you make very oddly specific predictions. Personal plugs. We do some other stuff. If you're enjoying Andromeda shenanigans, then you should catch me over on Archives of the Dragon every other Monday, where my spouse, Professor John Bradley Lestrange, genocide expert, leads us through the wild unknown outside the Helios cluster in Andromeda. You can find that at twitch.tv/Archives of the Dragon.
You can also find everything that I do at www.djstormageddon.com. It has my merch page. It has my Ko-fi. It has all of the podcasts that I host and produce. Feel free to go check that out. I would love for you to go check out my interview series, CPOV Autographs, just because it's a show that switched networks and I'm trying to ramp back up. I've had some incredible guests. By the time you're listening to this, I've just aired my PAX Unplugged special, where I went to the board game convention PAX Unplugged. I interviewed a bunch of game designers, creators, publishers, and all sorts of other folks. I also happened to actually meet Mark Muir in person while I was there. Did I ask him to come on the show? No, I was too tongue-tied, confessing how much I adore him and how great the Caden romance is because...
And also because Matt clearly wants us to fail.
Yes, obviously. That is the true reason. Mostly it was because he had his suitcase with him. I think he was leaving the con and I didn't want to be a burden. However, go check out that show. You can find it at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm going to say, if anyone has a lead on contacting Mark Muir, can you please put us in touch? Because his email is very hard to find.
It is very hard to find. Or Jennifer Hale, or literally anyone who's worked on these games, because we do want to interview folks who worked on the series as well. So yes, please let us know.
Anyway, we'd like to thank Red Spinks for our It's Okay to Be a Marshmallow t-shirt on Redbubble featuring our favorite marshmallow, Kata Nolenko, though there is some competition between him and Jal right now, I'm going to say, because they are both toasted marshmallows. You can find more of Red's work at Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
We'd also like to thank Carter's husband for more incredibly awesome artwork and t-shirts and designs that you can find over at certainpov.com or on their Teespring page.
Thank you to David Boyle for redesigning our logo like a champ. And lastly, thank you to JT Music and Andrea Stormcaden for our new theme music. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Good luck, Pathfinders.
Before the Wicked Witch of the West and those gals from Salem, there was Circe, the captivating and kind of catastrophic Greek witch who did more than just turn men into pigs.
I'm Rose.
I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Gloria.
Join us this fall on Circling Circe, the podcast where we talk about Madeline Miller's incredible book, Circe.
We go through the novel chapter by chapter. We laugh, we cry from laughing. We swoon over Daedalus and other Greek hotties and talk way too much about food, life, and scented candles.
I'm hydrated. I'm ready. I'm
You're
pumped
ready.
to talk about Greek gods and titans.
Let's do this.
Lasagna is not supposed to be cool. It's supposed to be eaten hot, stupid.
Who just looked at a cow and was like, hey, sexy, moo right over here. Like,
It's 11:45. I need to go eat my liver.
my Prometheus pate.
And Granny's like, get out!
We post every Wednesday, so mark your calendars
Make like Scylla.
Grab a sailor.
and dive in.
Find Circling Circe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you want to do an outro? Or?
Yeah.
Is that your outro?
That's it.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.